Hello and welcome back. Thank you for visiting my channel. My name is Kalora Kofer and I'm the owner of Infinite Beauty Supply. This series of videos is to talk about how did I start my beauty supply store. I'm going to show you from top to bottom, start to finish, all the steps I took to get it started. So stay tuned and thank you for watching. So in this video, what we're going to talk about step one, starting your business and making sure it's a legal, legitimate entity recognized by your state, by the federal government, and even by your local government. Now, I know that some people may actually think that, oh, that's the boring part. I don't want to hear about all that. I want to talk about your vendors. I want to talk about how did you find your building and get your license and or your building permits, or things of that nature, or your lease is really what I want to say. But the reality is there's no point in you trying to talk to the vendors if you don't have your sales tax license or if you don't have your articles of organization with the state. So this video really is all about step one, forming your business and becoming a legal, legitimate entity that is recognized by your state, local, and federal government. All right, so first things first. This video is for people who aren't trying to decide if they want to start a beauty supply store. Like, you've already made your decision. You know this is what you're going to do. If you're that person, then this video is for you. So in order to become a legitimate business, you're going to have to operate on all three levels of government: the federal level, the state level, and the local level. What I would suggest is you have to start on the state level. So whatever state you're in, the first step is to become, if you will, an organized business and register with your Secretary of State. For most states, registering with the Secretary of State is a really simple process that can cost anywhere from $25 to about $150. Most people actually choose the business format of an LLC. Again, this video is not going to go super in depth, and I'm certainly not trying to give out any business or tax advice. You need to talk to your tax advisor to figure out which one is the best for you. But the point is, you have to register with the Secretary of State. Registering with the Secretary of State is a relatively simple process. Most states, you can go online, fill out a form, pay about $100 or $150, and essentially you will receive your articles of organization, within about a week. So in the state of Georgia, I'll talk about them specifically, and I do think this will apply to most states. When filing your business and, if you will, creating your business, you essentially have to fill out a form that recognizes the formation of your business as an LLC or a corporation or whatever you may start it as. The beauty supply store, let me tell you, number one in this case, is a for-profit business. So I chose to go with LLC, and the form is really simple. The name of the business, the owner of the business, the point of contact for the business, in addition to the mailing address, phone number, and perhaps even website of the business. After that, you essentially pay your money and send it off. And if the state approves, then essentially your business is legally organized and recognized by your Secretary of State. One of the things that you have to remember about registering with the Secretary of State is that you have to choose your business name. That business name has to be a unique name that's different from any other business in your state. For example, the name of my beauty supply store is Infinite Beauty Supply. There can be no other Infinite Beauty Supply within the state of Georgia. There can be one in Texas, there could be one in Florida, South Carolina, New York, pick a state. But inside of the state of Georgia, there is no other business with my legal business name. Now, I won't become or get super specific, but that's where doing business as names and DBAs can come into play. But I will say this, your business name has to be unique. Once it is filed with your Secretary of State, no other business with that name or even a name similar to your chosen business name will be allowed to file or be created after your name has been, if you will, taken. So again, we're working on the federal, state, and local level. The state level is actually where you're going to start with your Secretary of State, and that's filing to become a legally recognized business. And again, you're going to be a for-profit. After that, I would suggest that you begin to work on the federal level, and the federal level actually relates to, and you will be involved with, the IRS. So what you'll be getting from the IRS is your EIN number. It legitimately takes 5 minutes to get. It's, like I said, the social security number for your business so that your business can be identified. You will need this number because you'll be collecting, if you will, sales tax, to also report income and earnings. If you have employees, which as you grow, I can imagine you would need that. In order to get a bank account, you need your EIN. The EIN takes 5 minutes to apply for. You would just go out to the IRS website during normal business hours, and you would essentially provide your legal name, why you're applying for an EIN, in addition to your address. And if you choose to get your EIN certificate or number, if you will, electronically, you would legitimately have it in 5 minutes. And then you just save it down to your computer and you're done. Now, you're not done in the fact that you don't have to worry about filing or anything like that, because there's important information in that IRS letter that you receive at the end of the process. It tells you like which forms you need to file on an annual basis, like a Form 940 or things of that nature. But essentially, when you walk through the wizard and it asks you like, why do you need an EIN? Is it because you're going to pay employees, or you need to report your taxes, or you're going to import things of that nature? It will help you arrive at the right conclusion. Now, one thing I would not suggest is that you just go out to the IRS website and get your EIN before you're registered with your Secretary of State. And that's because you could try to apply with your Secretary of State and they could say that your name is too similar or is not available. For example, I have a business called Glitters, and I wanted to register the name Glitters. And the first time that I applied, it was actually declined, or they rejected the application because it was too close to a business called My Glittering Ink. So although it wasn't the exact same name, it was so similar that my Secretary of State said that this could easily be confused. So I had to change my legal name and eventually use a DBA, or doing business as Glitter. So to that point, if I would have applied for and gotten my EIN from the IRS prior to applying with the Secretary of State, I would have had to go back to the IRS and get my name changed with them. And we all know that that's not like a hassle that you want to go through. So what I would suggest is first you apply with your Secretary of State, receive your articles of organization, and then once you have your official legal name with your Secretary of State, use that name to apply with the IRS for your EIN. So now the sales tax license is arguably one of the most important forms or licenses that you're going to need. Essentially, you get this form from your state's Department of Revenue. And again, in Georgia, this process may take 5 minutes, maybe. So the reason you need your sales tax license is because wholesalers legally cannot sell to you unless you're a business that's going to, if you will, retail the products and collect sales tax. This is one of the ways that your state actually makes sure that it receives tax revenue. Essentially, you go online and it's free. And in the state of Georgia, you create an account. And when you create that account, essentially it asks you, what kind of, if you will, business is it? You actually have to indicate that you want to open a sales tax account, because your state's Department of Revenue actually, if you will, probably has a whole bunch of different accounts that you can open for your business, such as a withholding account for your employee withholding. We'll talk about that later and things of that nature. So the sales tax license, essentially you would indicate the business type, indicate the legal business name, the EIN number, when you intend to actually start receiving sales and money, in addition to your county, and your basic contact information. And that's pretty much it. You submit it. You don't have to pay any fees or anything like that. Once you submit it, actually in Georgia, within a couple of hours, you can receive an email with your sales tax number. And some wholesalers will actually, if you will, take it with just that number. You'll actually receive your actual sales tax certificate in the mail, and that has to be displayed in store. Actually, in some cases, you can also get it electronically offline. Once it's been issued to you, you could just print it off online. One of the things about the sales tax license is you want to indicate the true date that you believe that you're going to start collecting revenue. Because once you create that account and you indicate, so for example, that you're going to start collecting revenue in the next month, your state Department of Revenue more than likely is going to believe that it should be receiving reports from you. Even if you aren't open and you've indicated that you could start receiving revenue, they're going to expect for you to start filing reports that show a $0 amount for the month. And you don't want to start getting penalties because you're not, filing your monthly reports. So I would suggest that you get your sales tax license and you push out your revenue date, or the date that you believe you're going to start collecting revenue, out at least 3 months. So what does it take to get your business license? When you go down to your local government building, city hall, or whatever it's called in your county, you need to go to essentially the planning and development department. And what you need, or at least what I needed, was my articles of organization from the state. I had to prove that I had already gone and registered my business with the state. I also had to fill out a business license application. So essentially what that application included was I had to put my name, the business's name, points of contact, the business address. I had to indicate essentially if the business was going to operate out of my home as an online business, or if it actually had a physical location. Once you indicate that your business will have a physical location that, the general public will enter, other parts of the planning and development department will get involved because they have to make sure that your building is physically, your building is up to code, so that people and the general public can actually come in and shop without worrying about, if you will, being safe. So I'm sure you're wondering, how much did the business license cost? In my county, it differs based on the revenue that you estimate that you're going to bring in. Specifically for Infinite Beauty, the business license, I believe, cost around $175. That's for the license itself, but there was an additional $75 fee for the fire marshal inspection. So all in all, I would estimate that you would pay anywhere from $100 to $300 to get your business license at the local level. So there are a few things we need to talk about with the business license. Number one, you can't get your business license, at least in my county, until you have either a physical location, so you've already, if you will, leased your space that your actual store is going to be in, or you have to file, if you will, as an online store in the county. So what this means is your business, if you will, address that you register with the Secretary of State, the sales tax, the IRS, the EIN, all that stuff, that can be your home address as the, if you will, corporate address, or the main, if you will, place of business for all, if you will, official communications. However, some vendors, especially the hair vendors, when we start talking about it, will actually look up your address to make sure that your actual business location that you have listed is not a residential address, that they want it to be commercial, or again, a leased space or a storefront. So there's a timing element involved. So you have to, if you will, lease your space, go through the whole leasing process while you're still working on your vendors and your store fixtures and furniture and all the rest. So the business license more than likely isn't something that you can get within the first week of starting to work on all of the official documents. More than likely you'll file with the Secretary of State, get your EIN, and get your sales tax license. All of that could be done within a week or so. But the business license is going to require a physical business address. So now that I've gotten through the basics, I honestly want to just start talking about the vendors. So our next video will be about vendors. I'm going to just scratch the surface and just get it started. But there's so much to talk about and I don't want to rush through it. So I know that's what a lot of you want to know. So I'm going to fast forward and skip ahead and start just talking about my vendors and naming them. But I will then go back and talk about the different types of vendors and how to set up contracts with them, in addition to other steps that you actually need to take to prepare to, if you will, set up your vendors. I'll talk about troubleshooting and I'll talk about best practices and pros and cons. But I just want you to know the next video, I will start talking about vendors at least at a high level. After that, I will double back and I'll actually start talking about leases, contracts, and the things that I did to even renovate my store and my store strategy, mission, and vision. I know that I'm kind of going all out of order, but I really want to get to the nitty-gritty of who my vendors are, because some of you are already at that step, or you're trying to open and you're just kind of struggling because you don't know who to go to and all the rest and blah, blah, blah. So next video, vendors, then I'll double back and talk about my strategy and leases and contracts. Hope to see you next time. Don't forget to subscribe. Thank you for your time.